Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to take a look at the Libra equinox energies. The Libra equinox occurs on September 23rd at 2:51 a.m. That's Eastern time. So be sure and adjust for your location on the planet, as the equinox could happen for you on September 22nd, depending on where you live. Now, the chart you're looking at here is set up as the 0 Aries degree chart, which means that the astrological wheel begins here at the ascendant at 0 degrees, and is a good way to understand why the equinox energies are important. Because over here you'll find the sun at 0 degrees of Libra, meaning it just entered Libra, and it will cover 3 months of territory as the sun moves through all of Libra, all of Scorpio, all of Sagittarius, and gets to Capricorn, which we know as the solstice. So when we look at an equinox chart, we're looking at the energies for the upcoming 3 months that begin with the sun moving into Libra. So basically shows us what is going to be happening here during this season. Now, Libra is a cardinal sign, and every cardinal sign begins a season of the year. And that's part of how tropical astrology works, tropical Western astrology. So with the sun entering Libra, we then look at, well, what's going to be unfolding over the next 3 months until the sun reaches 0 degrees of Capricorn, the solstice point. So we take an examination of the energies here to get an idea of what the next 3 months will look like. Now, with the sun moving into Libra, something that is significant about Libra season this year especially, and also even in 2024, is that the planets are going to be working with the South Node. Now, the South Node is not on here. It's at 26 degrees of Libra, but we're going to have, for the first time in about 19 years, planets moving across the South Node in Libra. And this is important as we move into Libra season, because there's going to be house cleaning. There's going to be shifts and changes. There's going to be situations, partnerships, collaborations that you will be assessing and looking at. And perhaps there will be renegotiations, some new problem solving, things that are going to come up that you'll need to evaluate and make new choices. Or with that South Node in Libra, there will be an ending. There will be a sense that this has run its course, it served its purpose, it's fulfilled whatever it needed to do, and it doesn't have energy to move forward. So we're going to have in Libra season, Mars will be the first planet crossing over the South Node, followed by the Sun, and then we'll have Mercury come along as well. In fact, both Mercury and the Sun are going to be exactly conjunct the South Node at 25 degrees of Libra in October. And so it's really something that's already in play. And in fact, it's going to be coming in stronger with the Sun in Libra. We're really looking at things in our life and assessing, do I want this? Do I need this? Does it connect with who I am now? Which is what that North Node in Aries is bringing up, which is your full potential. Is this guiding me towards my full potential? Is this really activating more of who I am, who I know myself to be, what I'm becoming, how I'm growing? Is it good for me? And if the answer is yes, then you'll probably have some ongoing relationships, connections, people in your world that will be the right fit. But you might also have some realizations of what no longer is connected to your highest growth and your full potential. So this will be a big theme in Libra season as the planets move across that South Node, and you're looking at areas of yourself, of your world, of your energy, and assessing, is this still a good choice? Because Libra is about choices. Now, we associate Libra with the scales, with balance, with giving and receiving, reciprocity. What is mutual? The mutual energies in play. And so it brings up how we show up and share, how we connect, if it's healthy, if it's satisfying, if it's correct for you. But I think that what we're going to be looking at, especially when we look at this chart, is that with this moon up here in Capricorn squaring the sun, there's going to be some clear decisions that maybe you're already sensing. And this is the energy of making a choice and really understanding what is best for you and allowing that to guide you with the moon here at the top of the chart. The moon in Capricorn is responsible. It's executive decision making. So there could be some things you've already felt into, you've realized, you've decided. And see how this moon, it's at the top of the chart. So it has a viewpoint of the lay of the land, so to speak. It's at the highest point, looking down, looking at all the terrain. And there could be something here that you're sitting with, you've realized, you're clear on. And then Libra season will bring up the conversations that need to be had and what needs to be discussed, talked through. And keep in mind that with Libra, even though we are seeking win-win scenarios and potentially best case outcomes, often that doesn't always happen. So there's something here too, especially with this Mars in Libra, that could be stirring up something that you're already feeling and sensing, and you know you have to make a choice for yourself, and it's going to affect others. I get this too at a professional level, almost like maybe there's realizations you've had about your career, your profession, your responsibilities, what you're doing in the world, and understanding I have to stay on this path, or I have to keep following what I know is best for the long term. And that means, there's maybe some contracts that expire, some things that, you don't recommit to or sign to. It's like there is a falling away here with the South Node in Libra as the planets will move across it. And it can, again, stir up the pot where that Mars can be a passive aggressive trigger in Libra. So it'll be important to really understand what is going on, what's affecting you, whether you're making decisions or somebody else is. There could be something here where you're realizing I need to take the long-term perspective. And that's what this moon in Capricorn is connected with. Now we also have this Pluto, 27 degrees of Capricorn retrograde, will station direct October 11th and will not return to 27 or 28 degrees of Capricorn in our lifetime. So it feels like this quarter, again, the energies of Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius season are going to show us more of what this Pluto in Capricorn is completing, finishing, taking care of, and also bringing us into connection and contact with more of our purpose, the soul mission energy, what you know you have to stick to, what is calling you, almost like it feels like it's beckoning you forward. I feel like this Pluto is going to have some important messages over the next few months to remind us to stay the course of what you've learned is true for you and where your energy is at its strongest and most purposeful. And so these could be a 3 months of time where you're making new decisions around what you need to do, take care of, finish up, clean out as well, since this Pluto is finishing up its time here at 27 and then 28 degrees of Capricorn. It does return to 29 degrees of Capricorn in a year from now. And it will be in Capricorn in 2024 for about 2.5 months, and then it's done. So it's really about cleaning up, finishing, and looking at, being very honest with yourself, which is something that Pluto wants. It wants your brutal self-honesty about how you're using your energy in the world and ensuring that you're on a path that is best for you. And so that could be a theme that comes up even stronger here into the next 3 months as we approach the solstice. Now, the Libra energy is ruled by Venus. And here she is at 18 degrees of Leo, still in her shadow from her extended stay in Leo, which involved her retrograde. And so she has been going through a reprogramming around her gifts, her power, her creativity, her desires. And it's actually going to potentially give new life to these Libra connections. And she's in a beneficial trine here with this Mars at 17 degrees of Libra. And so if you think of this as the masculine and the feminine, they are working together in a healthy cooperation. They are supporting each other. And so this could be that relationship decisions or the awareness and understandings that came through for you during Venus retrograde is now syncing up with this Mars and perhaps helping you understand what to do with those realizations and how they suit you, how they fit you. This is a Venus who is passionate about life and how she shows up and what she wants to experience and create. And this Mars wants to help that energy move forward. So this can certainly be positive forward movement for relationship realizations you've had and things that you've come to understand around what you want and what you need. Now, also in this chart, we have this Venus making a trine to Chiron, exactly at 18 degrees Aries retrograde. And this also is helping the renewal that Venus is experiencing, the understanding of her ability to take care of her heart, to stay in her power, and to now attract in healing connections, supportive connections. Whereas this Chiron in Aries wants you to be developing more courage and strength to truly be who you are. And so this relates directly to our authentic nature and what we've had to, I'm getting the visual of unwind, remove, lessen, release something, which is part of how Chiron works, especially retrograde. And yet it's serving this Venus very well. So this is where you could draw in or attract in those healing connections, or perhaps relationships take a turn for the better. They feel more in alignment with who you are now, with the truth of yourself. And there's a vulnerability here that is being strengthened. And it's like the vulnerability of our own humanity, like just what it means to be yourself in the world, and how there's just a loving energy here. And then of course you'll notice that this Chiron is opposing that Mars, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. And so there could be something here that you're figuring out how to express yourself and be who you are around others in a new way, to remain in your power, connected to the truth of who you are and what you want. But this Mars, again, when he wants to talk things through and find resolution, and this is the negotiator Mars, the agent, the one who understands that even though Mars is more inclined perhaps to settle disputes on the war field or through something that is more action oriented, this is a Mars that is more reasonable, rational. And so there could be something here like this push-pull. There's definitely this push-pull between what you've come in contact with within yourself and how or if you share it with others. I feel like there's a holding back actually with this Mars in Libra. There's even a logical assessment. There's a sense of, okay, maybe I don't need to discuss everything with everyone, but I'll just remain true to what I need to say in this conversation, what I do need to express and put on the table, and what I don't. And so that restraint could be part of this opposition as well. But it is supported through the connection here to Venus, who again is feeling different in her skin after that retrograde. And in fact, she's feeling more powerful. So there could be something that actually nicely lines up between this Chiron trining Venus, sextiling Mars, opposing Chiron. There could be something here that comes out, that's released. There could be something expressed finally, if you've been holding back. And there could be something that moves things forward in a way that ultimately supports being in your power. And that's also what this Venus in Leo is. She's in her power. So relationship changes are definitely part of this energy, but it feels like they're for the best. It does depend on how we respond and react. If it's coming from a higher wisdom, if it's coming from self-honoring and self-love, or if it's coming from a reactionary, wounded state. So that is definitely important to be aware of with this Chiron involved. Now, another energy here that is quite important is actually this Saturn, which travels back to 0 degrees of Pisces during this 3-month span of time. And that's where, of course, Saturn entered Pisces back in March. Returning to that 0 point of pure potential. And so in your chart, in your world, Saturn coming back to 0 degrees of Pisces is a begin again energy. Now let me look at if that was what I wanted, if that was for my best and highest good, because this Saturn in Pisces is dealing with karma, endings, things that maybe you weren't ready to let go of earlier this year. And now it could feel like it's more of a burden, it's more of a weight, you don't want to carry it. Saturn going back to 0 degrees of Pisces is bringing us back to that pure intention of working with Saturn in Pisces to honor our spiritual growth and to look at what in our real world life, because Saturn is about form and structure and what is tangible and physical. But what are we needing to shift, change, and clear out? And with Pisces being a sign of duality, it's almost like we can approach something from a very unconscious state at first. And we can just be going through the motions and doing the things and, okay, I'll just go over here, I'll just do this, I'll go over there. And then something occurs that brings us into more of our higher consciousness. And we stop and say, wait, what am I doing? What am I choosing? Is this what I want? Where is this going? And so I feel like the Saturn going back to 0 degrees of Pisces is a reset of your spiritual intention and really honoring what's for your highest growth now. Where instead of just accepting something as is or going through the motions, or doing anything in the lower Pisces, which would be potentially escapism, obsession, addiction, anything with powerlessness, numbing yourself, having those unhealthy coping mechanisms, disassociating, even, anything that comes from victim consciousness. Saturn is like, okay, now let's have a do-over here in something that you're meant to Trust yourself, trust your power, trust your ability to handle it, but operate from that higher frequency. Operate from that place of, I can handle this. I'm making this choice from a really true, pure place. I understand now what I want. And again, this could have been something that since March, you've been contemplating, reviewing, looking at. And there's going to be a reset of the energy in Pisces, but it's a reset into the higher frequency of really honoring your own path, honoring what is best for you, because Saturn is where we have to go it alone and really strengthen our backbone, strengthen a sense of, I can handle this, I'm capable, I've got this. So if there's been a part of your life where it feels like you've been basically disconnected from your spiritual power, Saturn going back to 0 degrees of Pisces is going to help you reset that and reconnect to a higher intention. Now, also in Pisces, we have this Neptune at 26 degrees Pisces, and we'll be traveling back to about 24 degrees of Pisces over the next few months. And we'll be still in connection with this Pluto for a bit, as Pluto will, as I mentioned, station direct and go forward. But this Neptune is continuing to open us up to our intuition and trusting the energy and how we can learn to integrate that into our daily experiences, to really go with where our intuition is pointing us and where the energy feels the strongest. Now, this Neptune is in a wide sextile to Uranus here at 22 degrees of Taurus retrograde. And this is the closest these two have been for a very long time. They will be moving away from each other. But there's something coming up here that we're meant to stay in the possibility of. Because this Uranus and Taurus shaking things up, change, things we didn't think would change, things we thought would never change, are coming up. And it can be quite disruptive, unexpected. It can certainly throw you off. But this is change that hasn't happened in about 84 years, just with how long it takes Uranus to travel around the full zodiac wheel. So Uranus is shaking things up here and asking you to think differently about your self-value, your self-worth, to really strengthen that internally. Allow it to be a part of your core. And this also brings in then new personal expressions, new creativity, new things you want to perhaps go for and try. This Uranus was going to go back to about 19 degrees of Taurus until January. So there will be a retrograde during this whole 3 months. But it's reminding you that change can be wonderful. Change is a catalyst for beautiful things. And I feel like this connection to Neptune is opening us up to a higher path and understanding of what we really need, what we don't need. Of course, this does stir up our financial energies and resources. Anything that maybe you're feeling like, okay, I should stock up on this, or I should be saving my money, or I should have cash on hand. Uranus has been, of course, has been part of the energy for a few years now. It is going to continue. But with Jupiter traveling behind this Uranus, this is the energy of things showing up and coming together. And Jupiter expands the energies of the sign it's in. So it's expanding the calmness, stability, steadfast determination of Taurus. And that's trusting yourself when you need to. That's trusting your energy, that things are going to show up for you and come through for you. That's part of what this Jupiter in Taurus is amplifying at a collective level, but also at an individual level. In this chart, Jupiter is also trining Mercury at 12 degrees of Virgo. And this Mercury is moving through his shadow territory from his most recent retrograde, but has basically been in a trine with Jupiter for most of the retrograde. So there's been a sense of faith, a sense of things are going to work out. Things are going to work out. They're coming together. They're happening. And you might be getting some visual confirmations of that because these are in the earth signs. And so it's connected to our earthly reality, how we construct our daily lives and go about what we need to do every day. And this Mercury has support from Jupiter, which makes things easier, less stressful. Even a sense of the solutions come through and show up, and can alleviate some of the mental fatigue of this Mercury in Virgo, who is the analyst and very methodical, and let's think this through, and let's follow the steps. And there could be a sense here that you're feeling supported with whatever those steps are, whatever those decisions are as well, that you're thinking about, how is this going to happen? How is this going to come together? Well, the energy of this chart, which again is for the next 3 months, the energy of this chart is showing us that there are things coming together and coming into play. And in fact, we don't have to overmanage it, that it can simply happen with more ease and effortlessness when we have a trine from this abundant, benevolent Jupiter. Oh, and I did want to go back to this moon in Capricorn, which is working favorably with its ruling planet, Saturn, in Pisces. And this provides not only a stability and maturity, but it's helping you with long-term planning for something. And so this could be a span of time where you're seeing some things take shape and come together while clearing out what is no longer needed and no longer works, because Saturn is about, well, what's useful, what has a purpose and what does not. And in Pisces, again, there could be things that you're saying, yeah, this doesn't work anymore. Let's try something new. Let's see what else could fill this space or be an even better option. But there's a support here. And I feel this Saturn in Pisces working with this moon in Capricorn as spiritual support. And more specifically, it can be like spiritual support from your ancestors, from your elders, from those in your lineage who are working with you, walking with you through the Pisces energies of spirit and showing up in ways that help you handle what is going on in your world and helps you to remain strong and sturdy during these times, which, as we know, we've been living in some very big times of change, acceleration, and rapid growth. So in this chart, as I said, we're looking at when the sun first enters Libra. This is the energy signature of the equinox. And then it will move through all of Libra, all of Scorpio, all of Sagittarius, and then get to Capricorn on the solstice. And so as the sun journeys through, all the other planets will still be in motion as well. And the sun, being the biggest light and the biggest consciousness in our solar system, highlights the energies and archetypes of each astrological theme. So as it moves through Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, these are the energies of connections, relationships, how we interact with energies outside of ourselves. And they take on more prominence during this time of year. So this is going to be a time when things do get busier, as is the case during the holidays, as we approach the holidays, but also really looking at our relationship skills and what is working, what's not working, how we're showing up to those connections as we move from the equilibrium of Libra into the passionate conviction of Scorpio. We go into more of what we're really feeling, what is guiding us below the surface that we're passionate about, that we're hooked into. And then it elevates us up to the wisdom and higher perspective of Sagittarius, what we're learning, what we're discovering, the wisdom that we've also connected with. And this is also the parties, typically. Sagittarius being the party animal, having fun, letting loose, having a fun experience, and being open to that before we enter into the seriousness and traditional energies of Capricorn. So the next 3 months are more focused on the people in our world that we interact with, people that maybe you're thinking about, they have presents for the holidays, or you need to see them or catch up, or there's a whole slew of things that we use to connect and see people. But this particular quarter of the year is about the other. And so that is a main theme with the Libra equinox, is the others, and how we show up for people, how we continue to strengthen those bonds, how we invest in relationships and people we care about and people we want to get to know better. And then also, as I started with, the South Node in Libra is also showing you, where things are no longer working for you. They don't have that energy. There isn't a frequency match, or things aren't on the same trajectory. That's going to be a very big theme for this particular Libra season. And I'll be talking about that even more on my Wednesday podcasts, where we discuss the weekly energies. So this was just an overall view of the energies as we move through the equinox portal. And following the equinox, we will have the Aries full moon, and then we move into eclipse season in October, where we will have our first Libra eclipse at 21 degrees of Libra, and then we'll have our last Taurus eclipse, which will be October 28th at 5 degrees of Taurus. So we'll be talking about those more as well. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for connecting as we dig deeper into the astrological energies of our times. Thank you so much for sharing, commenting, and of course, subscribing. I look forward to connecting with you again soon, and I hope you have a beautiful day as we move into these Libra equinox energies. Take good care.